How dare you say that? I respect the God of Antonio. Don't you dare talk about my son like that. I mean, don't you dare talk about my boyfriend like that. He's a man, and he's a big boy, and I respect him, and I love him.
What's up, y'all? It's your girl Roxy with Roxy Says, and we're gonna talk about it. Today we are reviewing The Ultimatum, Marry or Move On. Now, I can honestly say that season 2 was a hot ass mess. Netflix just loves to bring us couples that have no business being together. But I guess we should be thankful because it sure is entertaining as hell. Today we are going through episodes 1 through 8, okay? Netflix actually uploaded episodes 9 and 10 today, so I'll definitely be watching that right after I finish editing this. And that review should be up tomorrow. So don't forget to hit like, comment, and subscribe so we can talk shit below in the comments. Let's get into it. So if you're not familiar with The Ultimatum is a dating show where we have a couple of couples and one person in that couple wants to get married. The other one, not so much. It's an 8-week experiment, and the goal is that by the end of this experiment, the couples either leave engaged to the person who they came with, engaged to the person that they swapped with, or they just leave all by themselves. So let's meet the couples. First up, we have Roxanne and Antonio. Now, those two have been together for 4 years, and Antonio is giving Roxanne the ultimatum. Antonio says that he's loved Roxanne since the day that he saw her, but he has a couple of insecurities, and oh boy, we sure gonna get into that. Roxanne just feels like Antonio is not ambitious enough. Now, had I took a shot for every time Roxanne said the word ambition during this season, I'd be drunk, okay? Drunk as hell. Next up, we have Lisa and Brian. Okay, Lisa and Brian have been together for 2 years, and Lisa is the one who issued the ultimatum to Brian. Brian says that he doesn't think that they're ready to get married, and of course he gives that other reason that everyone gives. He's not ready financially either. Lisa is ready to get married. She's 31. She wants to be married before she has a kid, and she feels like Brian has never experienced the possibility of actually losing her. And I'm like, yeah, girl, because you give off desperate and crazy, but we gonna get into that. Next up, we have Ryan and James. Okay, now these two high school sweethearts have been together since they were 16 years old. They've been dating for 7 years, and Ryan issued the ultimatum to James. I always feel like couples like these, like couples who know no one else but each other, need this experience more than anyone, because I feel like sometimes they need to see what else is out there and really know if they're together because they really love each other or if they're just together because it's just what they've been doing for the past 7 years. You get what I'm saying? But Ryan issued the ultimatum to James, and she feels like, hey, we've been together almost our entire lives. Either you know you want to marry me or you don't. On the other hand, James says that he doesn't believe in one true love, and he also wants to make sure that he's in a better space financially. Now we have Raya and Trey, and they've been together for 2 years. Trey says his finances are good money, okay? Literally. He says he's an engineer. He got everything that he needs to take care of Raya. They live together, and Trey loves her dearly. But Raya, at the age of 24, is still trying to figure things out. She still wants to get solid in her career. And later in the season, we'll see that she's not really much decided on anything, really. And last but not least, we have Kat and Alex. Kat and Alex have been together for 2 years, and Kat is the one who issued the ultimatum to Alex. And let me just say, Kat is such a sweetheart. She really reminds me of Sam from Queer Love. Y'all remember Sam, who was with Alcee? Just a really sweet person who is with someone who just does not appreciate them. Alex really had the nerve to say that he hasn't proposed yet just because he's been so busy. And that is not the worst of what Alex is going to say throughout the season. So now that we've met all the couples, it's everyone's final night together, and we get a little bit more information about the issues in these relationships. Raya tells Trey that he's not romantic enough. She's like, look, I saw this thing on TikTok, and even though you executed it, it's not really how it was on TikTok, girl. But we can also see that Raya does not want to be financially dependent on Trey, which I understand. She also lets Trey know that she has some apprehensions about having kids, and Trey does want a family. We see Roxanne telling Antonio that he needs to have ambition and a job, and currently he has neither. As we'll see throughout this season, anything outside of ambition and work is non-existent to Roxana. Oh, ambition, work, and money. Yeah. Now we get into this conversation with Lisa and Brian, okay? Like I said before, Lisa is 31 and Brian is 28. Lisa really wants to get married, and Brian feels like she is forcing him. Yeah, that's a great way to start off any relationship or marriage. In response to Brian's comments about not being financially ready, Lisa's like, I will pay you to marry me. You don't got to worry about anything. I'll pay all the bills. I'll take care of you.
Just please marry me, please.
That's not exactly how she said it, but that's how it came off. When I tell you, Lisa is giving desperate begging vibes, and I hate that for her, but that's what she's giving. And what's really funny is that at this point in the episode, I was like, girl, Lisa, why are you begging this man? You are beautiful. You're successful. You are perfect. Any man would be lucky to be with you. Lisa was like, oh yeah, bitch. So now it's dating time and everyone is mingling and seeing who they make a connection with. Roxanne is giving everyone job interviews. Are you ambitious? Okay. Can you spell ambitious? Okay. When she was on a date with Alex, she was like, tell me about yourself. And he's like, okay, I'm 31. I want to get a dog. She was like, where do you work? Roxanne don't give a damn about you wanting a dog. She don't care what your favorite color is. She want to know where you work and how much money you make. We learned that Roxanne is an entrepreneur. She has her own company. And child, when Alex tells her like, oh yeah, I actually just sold my marketing business, Roxanne is like, oh, really? Roxanne was open after that, and she sunk her claws into Alex, and it was a done deal from there. Then we quickly learned that either Lisa is very unstable or she's never seen this show before, because she's getting very upset at the fact that Brian is speaking to other people and making connections with other people. Baby, that is the whole premise of this show. That is why you two are here. Did you not get the memo? And then things really boil over the next night when everyone is at the mixer. So we see Brian and Raya having a conversation. They had already made a connection earlier at the pool, and now they're talking again. And Lisa just cannot stop herself from going over and rudely interrupting their conversation. So Lisa goes over and she's being so nasty to Raya, and Raya entertains her for like 2 seconds, and then she gets up and excuses herself. Good on you, Raya, because she's like, I'm not even about to go back and forth with this girl because something is clearly off. So Lisa gets into this huge argument with Brian, again, for doing what he's there to do, doing what everyone is there to do. And because she doesn't know how to have a conversation like a grown woman, she mushes Brian in the face in front of everyone. And she's like, if you want to talk to the bitch, go ahead and talk to the bitch. Just completely disgusting and embarrassing behavior. And the episode ends there. Now, let me say this. The fact that Lisa did that in public and on camera lets me know that she does even more behind closed doors, and she really doesn't give a damn. That shit was unacceptable, and I really think that she should have gotten kicked off the show immediately, because had it been Brian who mushed her in the face like that, oh, it would have been a completely different story. We know this, right? And on top of that, as a Black woman, I was really upset to see Lisa show her complete ass, because we already don't get represented much on these dating shows. So to have an opportunity to be on a dating show and that's how you choose to act, oh, I was pissed off. I really was. Now we're at episode 2, and the episode picks up right where it left off. Lisa is in the parking lot cursing, calling Raya a Hooters bitch, saying, I could understand if you were feeling Roxanne, at least you can learn something from her. She's a boss. What can you learn from Raya? You can't learn anything from her. She's a Hooters bitch. Girl, what? Are you okay? Is everything okay? Lisa is the type of woman who would trash another innocent woman just to win a man. I can't even begin to say how disgusted I was when I was watching this scene. My jaw was on the floor. I was like, is she serious right now? Is this a joke? After that whole fiasco, Brian goes back into the bar and everyone is just like, are you okay? And he's like, yeah. I'm okay. It's cool. No, it's not cool. That bitch is crazy. So now we see that the couples are still dating. Antonio and Kat are getting closer, and so are Raya and James. And they have a really deep conversation just about their upbringing and family, and they really connect on that. We see that Raya goes on another date with Brian. And honestly, if I was Raya, I would be like, I need extra security all up in here in case that crazy girl Lisa comes back and tries to attack me, especially after what happened yesterday. But during this day, we see Raya and Brian, and they start speaking about finances, and immediately we can see that Brian is financially insecure. He's asking Raya about the bills that she would want him to pay and the bills that she would pay in the relationship, and we can definitely see that he doesn't want a woman who will require much of him financially, Which is funny because Lisa crazy ass is telling you she will pay you to be her husband, but that's not good enough for you either. So what is it really, Brian? Let us know. Then we see Trey and Lisa on a date. And I was wondering, Trey, did you really want to go on this date or did production just force you to do it? Because he looked scared the whole time. On top of that, Lisa thought that her behavior the other night was actually funny, was actually cute. Like, yeah. You looked a fool on TV. I would be so embarrassed. And the whole time that date was happening, I was like, Trey, don't pick that girl. But we see that Trey doesn't even have to make that decision because come choice night, we got some big news. So everyone shows up to the table to make their choice and we see 2 empty seats. Lisa nor Brian are there. And the hosts, Nick and Vanessa, let us know that the reason why they didn't show up is because Lisa is pregnant with Nick Lachey's baby. I played too much. Episode 3. So at the beginning of this episode, we do see Lisa telling Brian that she is pregnant. And I don't care what he says. He said that he's happy. He's excited. He looks stressed out, okay? He did not look happy about it to me. And he even asked her if he's the daddy. Now, I find that question a little bit offensive, but seeing how crazy Lisa is, I think that the question was warranted, okay? Clearly, the pregnancy was not planned, but Brian, yeah, that's what tends to happen when people have sex. Now, Lisa does give me poke holes in the condom tease. I would be lying if I said she didn't. She does give me fatal attraction. If I can't have you, no one can. She gives me that. She does give me that, but congratulations to them, I guess. And we don't see those 2 for the rest of the show, but we see everyone else make their choices. So now we have 4 new couples. We have Trey and Ryan, we have Antonio and Kat, Raya and James, and we have Roxanne and Alex. Now we're on to episode 4. So it is week 1 of the trial marriages, and we see a little conversation between James and Raya that lets us know that Raya hasn't been pleased sexually. And we're going to get even more details on that later in the season. We learned that Antonio is deeply, deeply financially insecure. Roxanne has been trying to get him to a place where he can be better financially, giving him suggestions on things that he can do to improve himself. But in all honesty, all I hear from Antonio is a pity party. Throughout the entire season, all he talks about is what he can't do, what he hasn't been able to do, what he's done in the past, but nothing about what he's doing to change. No actionable goals, nothing at all. Just what it's been. On a date, he also tells Kat that he was like high for 6 years and he was just doing things that will bring him pleasure. Doing drugs, having sex. And Kat is such a sweetheart and a good sport. She's trying to make him feel comfortable enough to share this information with her, but the whole time her face is like, oh, that's great. She looks terrified. And poor Kat, because she doesn't even know how bad it's about to get with Antonio. We see Roxanne meet Alex's parents, and she's like, oh, parents love me. I'm never nervous around parents. And she just talk. But clearly, Alex's parents were not feeling Roxanne as much as she thought. Because later in the episode, we're going to see that those parents actually spill some tea on her to Kat. Y'all did see how when Roxanne got there, she's like, oh, you guys have a boat? Roxanne's eye is on the money at all times. Do you hear me? Here is where we start to see things break down between Raya and James. So they have this awkward ass conversation about holding hands. Raya wants to be more physical and she wants to touch more because she feels like she's not really getting everything out of this trial marriage since there's no affection. And she's giving James these rapid fire questions and she's responding to him before he even gets a chance to answer her question. I'm like, girl, simmer down, let him talk. Raya says that she wants to be more physical and James is like, well, I don't have to fuck you to know if I want to be with you. But Raya says, I'm not talking about sex, but at the same time, she can't really articulate what she means. James says, the only thing left to do would be sex, and I'm not doing that because I already cheated on Ryan and I'm not doing it again. Whoa! What? So James admits that he's cheated on Ryan in the past, his high school sweetheart, and then we never hear about it again throughout the entire season. Maybe they'll talk about it in the finale and the reunion, but child, it's never brought up again through episodes 1 to 8. What the hell is that about? Meanwhile, Trey is on a boat in the middle of a lake somewhere with Ryan, pouring his feelings out to her, letting her know that he's developing strong emotions for her. And Ryan is really nice and polite about it, but it's obvious that she doesn't really feel the same way. Episode 5. So now we see Roxanne and Alex, and they're actually meeting Roxanne's parents today. We can see off the bat that Roxanne's dad does not like Antonio. He tries to make it general, but we know he's talking about Antonio. It seems like when Roxanne's parents come over, Antonio doesn't get up. He doesn't greet them. He just stays on the couch playing video games, eating hot Cheetos, and scratching his balls. Next, we see Trey meeting Ryan's brother and her brother's girlfriend. And I was like, why not her parents? I wonder why they weren't part of this experience. And although the girlfriend is talking a lot, way more than Ryan's own brother, she's speaking facts. She feels like James has never made Ryan a priority in his life. And she also says that she finds it offensive that James still has not proposed to her after 7 years. Now it is time for the infamous meetup where all the guys get together and all the girls get together and they all talk shit about each other. I think that this might be one of the most toxic meetups that we've seen throughout all seasons of The Ultimatum. Let me know what y'all think below, because this got messy as hell. So James pretty much tells Trey that Raya wants to smash. James is like, yeah, Raya wanted to have sex with me. She was like pretty open to it. And Trey is like, yeah, I don't think so. She actually called me crying, saying that she thinks that you think that she wants to have sex with you and she really doesn't. And I don't know. Tell me what you guys think. Do you think that Raya really wanted to have sex with James, or that she just wanted to do more physically, but not to the extent of sex, but she just couldn't articulate that? Tell me what you think below. James then tells Trey that he shouldn't even marry Raya, okay? Especially not now. She's not ready for marriage. She doesn't know what she wants. And in all honesty, James is 100% right. Child, then we see both Alex and Roxanne just trashing each other. And I was taken aback because throughout all of the scenes that we saw with them together, they looked like they were having a good time. They looked like they were vibing. They were working together. So this scene really caught me by surprise. Roxanne is telling Kat that Alex is a liar. She says that she's caught him in lies so many times. He claims that he's a lot busier than he is. He'll say that his day is jam-packed with work, but then she'll see him laying on the couch. And we know that laying on the couch probably triggers the fuck out of Roxanne, because that's what she's used to seeing Antonio doing. And Alex is supposed to be completely different than Antonio. So get your ass up off the couch. You supposed to be working. She says that he's not a gentleman. He lied to her dad and says that he opens doors when he really doesn't. And she also feels that he puts himself on a high pedestal. She then tells Kat that it absolutely breaks her heart that she has to be with someone like Alex, and she thinks that she should leave him. Girl, where is this coming from? Meanwhile, Antonio has been hounding Alex for information about his week with Roxanne. I honestly feel like Alex was trying to spare him. He didn't want to go in on him like this, but Antonio kept pushing it. So he's like, okay, here we go. He says that he thinks that Roxanne is mean. He also says that he thinks that Roxanne doesn't respect him and that he is Roxanne's whipping boy. Child. Who told Alex to tell Antonio this? Baby. He also says that Roxanne gives the impression that had she not been with Antonio, he would be a damn loser. And Antonio is so delusional and lacks so much self-awareness that he's like, that's impossible. She didn't say that. And I'm like, sir, what's impossible about it? These are literally things that you've pretty much said about yourself. And in his confessional, he's still in denial and he's like, no, Alex is just another guy trying to get Roxana. That's why he's saying that. That's not how she feels. Okay. Episode 6. So we pick up right where episode 5 left off, and Antonio is still pissed. He says that Alex is a damn liar, and Kat actually lets him know, like, hey, you know, Roxanne and Alex went to Alex's parents' house, and his parents actually called me, and they kind of said the same thing. They got the vibe that Roxanne really doesn't respect you. Antonio's like, well, his parents are fucking liars too. Whoa. Antonio. And Kat is a really reasonable person. She's like, yeah, but what reason would they have to lie about that? Like, yeah, Antonio, why would Alex's parents just make up a lie about you? Why is it easier for you to believe that Alex's parents would just create an entire lie about you, as opposed to Kat saying things about you that you know and everyone knows is true? So Antonio calls Roxanne crying, and he's like, why would you tell this guy these things? Why did Alex have the nerve and the audacity to say these horrible things to my face? He's a shitbag, and he said that you don't respect me. And Kat is in the bed like, don't call my man a shitbag. He's not a shitbag. Period, Kat. So Anthony gets off the phone. He leaves Kat and he runs out of the apartment, and he runs all the way to Roxanne's apartment. How romantic. Meanwhile, we see that Alex has just got back to the apartment with Roxanne. And Roxanne is also pissed off. She confronts Alex about telling Antonio those things. You told Antonio that I don't respect him and that I think that he's my whipping boy? Did I say those words exactly? And Alex is like, no, you didn't say those words exactly, but that's what I gathered from all of the things that you said about him during this entire time that we've been together. But we can see that Roxanne is one of those people who play semantics. She feels that because she didn't say those exact words, that everything that Alex said is a lie. Girl, let's be real. But then she tells on herself because she's like, I told you those things in confidence. I didn't tell you those things to bring back to Antonio. I thought that this was a safe space. Now, like I said before, Alex really did not want to tell Antonio the things that Roxanne had been saying about him, but Antonio was hounding Alex. And I don't even like Alex like that. I'm going to get into his ass later. But in all honesty, Alex was really trying to keep the peace. Then Roxanne brings up that he didn't clean when she was cleaning. And Alex is like, look, you're not my mom. I'm a grown man. I'll clean when I want to clean. Child. This conversation shows that these two, it's not going to work. They're too much alike. They both want to be the boss and neither of them back down. So in the next scene, we see that Antonio has finally made it to Roxanne's apartment. Alex isn't there and they hug and they cry together and they both come to the decision that Alex is a problem and Alex is a liar. Antonio actually wants to stop the whole experiment. He's like, let's go home. We don't need this. Roxanne is like, no, I'm still trying to salvage things to see if I could get some of Alex's money. Okay. That's not what she says, but she does not want to go home. She actually wants to finish the experiment. So they decide to stay. Meanwhile, while all of this madness is going on, Trey and Ryan are still having the perfect little cutesy little trial marriage. They haven't got into one fight or argument yet. They have all these cute little pictures that they have posted on their fridge. Just really cute and really wholesome. I do find it interesting that none of these couples have gotten physical, even in the slightest way. Not even like a forehead kiss. Not like in the Ultimatum queer love child. People was kissing, tonguing down. There was fingers involved, okay? Completely different vibes. Completely different. So the next day we see Alex and Roxanne. They're both packing up to leave because it's time for the switch over. Roxanne actually sits down and she has a talk with Alex and she apologizes to him. She lets him know that she's sorry for how she spoke to him, how she yelled at him. She really got out of character and that's not the way that she wants to communicate with him. And I feel like her apology was genuine. But child, Alex is so cold and out of tune and matter of fact, and he just lacks emotional intelligence. After Roxanne said all of that, Alex was like, all right, cool, I understand. Let me show you how I packed my clothes. What? Sir, hello? Hello? Is anyone in there? And Roxanne is like, is that it? Is there nothing that you want to say in return to what I just said to you? And he's like, not in particular. Nothing at all? You don't want to apologize? No, not in particular. This guy is impossible. Kat, I am so sorry that this is the person that you're dealing with. When you see how Alex operates and how Kat operates, we're going to see more of that in the next 2 episodes. He's just mean. Oh my gosh. But that's how that scene ends. No apology. And they wish each other luck in the next phase of the experiment. And that's it. Next, we see that Antonio has finally returned from his jog over to Roxanne's house because he did not come back home to Kat the night before. Do we know where Antonio was all night? No? Okay. We don't know where he was the whole night. And Kat says that she actually went out that morning and when she came back, all of Antonio's clothes were gone. So when they finally do sit down to speak, Antonio tells Kat, like, yeah, I packed my stuff up. I'm pretty much done. I got everything that I needed to get out of this experience. Then this fool has the nerve to tell Kat that he feels that she doesn't truly know herself and that she's very surface level. Excuse me? And Kat is such a sweetheart and a good sport because the way I would have dragged his broke ass. I don't know myself, but when people tell you exactly who you are and your exact situation, they're all liars. Boy, if you don't get the fuck up on my face. Kat does tell him that she thinks that he's projecting and she's 100% right. Antonio needs to go see the lady. He needs to go sit in somebody's chair and speak about all of his problems because clearly it's not clicking for him. So now it's crossover night where everyone is getting back with their original partner. We see Vanessa crying, okay? Even though it was an intimate moment, I'm like, Vanessa, did we not tell you to stop making stuff about yourself? Didn't we drag you enough, sis, after the Love is Blind reunion? You want some more? So at the crossover dinner, Alex and Roxanne, they just pretty much reconfirm how much they hate each other. And then Antonio brings up the conversation again about Alex saying that Roxanne doesn't respect him. And he said that it really hurt him. We can see that Antonio was definitely being vulnerable in that moment. But again, leave it to Alex to not give up about anyone's feelings. He's like, yeah, I did say that, and I'll say it again. It wouldn't trigger you so much if it didn't have a ring of truth to it. Boom! Listen, I don't like Alex, but he was right. 100% right, okay? Clearly, it's bothering Antonio because he knows that it's the truth. And you know Roxanne, she gonna jump in for her man. She says, how dare you say that? I respect the fuck out of Antonio. Don't you dare talk about my son like that. I mean, don't you dare talk about my boyfriend like that. He's a man, and he's a big boy, and I respect him, and I love him. Girl, you don't respect that man. And we gonna see later that you really don't love that man either. And what that scene showed me is that although Roxanne says that she wants Antonio to do better, she wants him to make more money, she wants this, that, and the third, I think that Roxanne also enjoys coddling and babying Antonio. I think that she enjoys mothering Antonio. As much as she complains about it, I think that she likes saying,
Antonio, are you gonna get a job today? Antonio, are you gonna play video games all day?
I think that part of her enjoys that shit. I really do. So now everyone's back together and it is time for the second trial marriage. Raya tells Trey that she's gonna have a really hard time because at the changeover dinner, Trey was very honest and vocal, and he said that he did develop some strong feelings for Ryan. Raya says that she went into this experiment knowing that she would never make a connection with anybody else. And I'm like, not so much, right? Because in the beginning, we did see that Raya was vibing with Brian, right? And most likely she would have picked Brian had they not left because, you know, Lisa got pregnant and all that craziness. Raya is resentful of the experiment because she had a bad experience with James and because Trey had a good experience with Ryan. So she's able to confidently say, oh, I would have never caught feelings for someone else. But you don't really know that, do you? Had she been connected with someone who she actually was vibing with and who she actually liked, we don't know what would have happened. So I really think that it's unfair of her to make Trey feel guilty. Episode 7. So the couples are back together and Roxanne and Antonio, they hop right into bed. They don't waste no time. They get straight to it. Clearly, Antonio's broke dick is what keeps Roxanne coming back. Remember when Alex was asking her, why do you keep getting back together with him? I'm not understanding the reason. And she couldn't really articulate what it was. Oh, we see exactly what it is. And speaking of Alex, we see that it really doesn't matter who he's with. He's always going to be an asshole. Kat is telling him that she likes words of affirmation. She likes hearing those I love yous, those sweet and kind comments. And he's like, yeah, that really doesn't do anything for me, so I'm not really gonna do it. So because words of affirmation isn't his love language and because he doesn't get anything from it, he's just not gonna do it, even though Kat is asking him to do those things, or at least try to make an effort to do those things. He's like, yeah, okay, like I'll think about beginning to think about trying maybe. Kat, please leave this man. We see Ryan and James on a date, and Ryan keeps bringing up Trey, like, oh, we were matching. I can't even tell you how many times we were matching. It wasn't even planned. Like, oh my gosh. And James is like, yeah, can you stop talking about Trey? Like, it makes me jealous and I don't want to hear about him. Girl, you and James just got back together. The last person that you should be bringing up is Trey. Ryan starts telling James that she does need more from him. And she's asking him what's he gonna do to prove his love to her. And James is like, I just want you. Like, I just want you. No, that is not good enough, okay? That's not good enough. Maybe that worked in high school, but you guys are at a point where Ryan needs to see real action. She needs to see real change. So you just saying things that sound good, I just want you, and I just want to run off into a field into the sunset. Yeah, no, we don't care about that. She wants real change, and not just for 3 weeks. She needs this change to be forever, okay? I want Ryan to leave James. She's a sweetheart. She's a beautiful girl. She seems like she has good intentions and she just really wants to be with someone who knows for sure that they want to be with her as well. And James is not it. Next, we see that Raya is still struggling to warm up to Trey and get past him having those feelings for Ryan. But now we have a whole other issue, which to me is kind of like, girl, what? So we learned that Raya wants to live in the city, okay? She wants to live in the city for a year. She doesn't have a plan. She doesn't have a reason why other than the fact that she's just never lived in the city. Now, maybe I'm a little bit biased because I am from New York City, born and raised. I've lived in the city my entire life. So I'm like, girl, I promise you, you're not missing anything. Most of us are trying to get out of the city, okay? But Trey is telling her the things that he wants. He's thinking with family in mind, right? He wants to move out to the burbs because he wants to get a house for the family. His mindset and his vision is more so family, and Raya's vision and mindset is more so there's things that I want to do before I can't do them anymore. You get what I'm saying? When it comes to Raya, it's more about self and self-discovery. And like I said before, Raya is 24, so I can't be too hard on her for still trying to figure things out and wanting to have certain experiences. But this convo just shows they want two completely different things right now. And the last thing that they should be doing is getting married. Child, now we got this scene with Roxana and Antonio, okay? Roxana is in the kitchen and she has her cat and she's just like, oh, I love you. Oh, I love you so much. I love you so much, cat. And Antonio turns around and he's like,
I love you.
And Roxanne is like, mm-hmm. Poof. And Antonio was like, really? She's like, well, I'm not going to say something I don't mean. Ugh. Girl, you cold, girl, you cold. And then she tries to clean it up and she's like, I mean, in the moment, I didn't feel like saying I love you. Like, girl, you don't love that man, nor do you respect him. Stop trying to smooth it over. Another couple that does not need to be together. Is there one couple on this show that should be together? No. Now we get this scene with James and Ryan, and we see a side of both James and Ryan that we have not seen the entire season. So we see it's late at night, they're having a conversation, and James gets triggered by the way that Ryan taps her fingernails on the counter and the way that she moves her hands when she's speaking to him. And the reason why he gets triggered is he says that it reminds him of the way that his mom used to speak to him. And he does feel like he has PTSD from his childhood and those experiences with his mother. Ryan says, okay, well, I don't appreciate you throwing a glass across my face and breaking it. I don't appreciate that. And we see that they're both angry and frustrated. And this argument goes on for hours and hours and it doesn't get anywhere. So clearly these high school sweethearts have a lot to work on. Now we see Trey and Raya meet up with Raya's sister. And this conversation gets pretty weird. So on top of all of the other issues that Trey and Raya have been having, we also now get confirmation that the sex ain't even good. Oh, Lord have mercy. Can it get any worse? And her sister is like, so he knows everything? And Raya's like, yeah, he knows everything. She's like, even that you can't get wet? Raya's like, no, not that. So Trey excuses himself from that conversation, and Raya and her sister continue to discuss the situation, and they come to the conclusion that maybe Raya needs a little bit more kinkiness than Trey's been giving her. Now we finally get this conversation between James and Ryan. Now we know James has been hinting throughout the entire season about secrets that he has, and he says that those secrets is what hinders his communication and his ability to fully give himself in a relationship. So he lets Ryan know that his dad passed away when he was 2, and his mom really wasn't there. We do know that James's mother was a truck driver, so she was away for the majority of his childhood. Then he also reveals that starting at the age of 9, well into his teenage years and adulthood, he started harming himself in different ways to try to numb the pain that he dealt with. And because of everything that he experienced, he never felt like he was good enough for his dad, good enough for his mother, or good enough in any relationship that he was in. And he tells Ryan that he's always loved her and he's always wanted to marry her, but he didn't want to tell her this information because he felt that she would judge him and he felt that she wouldn't think that he was good enough for her. And although I appreciate him being vulnerable and being honest with Ryan in this situation, I don't feel that he genuinely believes that Ryan would judge him. From what we see from Ryan, she seems like such a kind-hearted person. I feel like James says things that he feels might get him out of a certain situation, But with that being said, I really want James to get help. While watching this scene, I immediately thought of Aussie from the Ultimatum Queer Love, right? Because they dealt with a lot of childhood trauma, and that was spilling over into the way that they communicated, into the way that they handle situations. And like with Aussie and Sam, Sam is the same type of person as Ryan, really understanding, really caring, really inviting. And I feel like both Sam and Ryan are the type who would welcome that information and try their best to help their partner through that situation. But before James moves on in this relationship, he definitely needs to sit with someone and really flesh out what he's still dealing with from his childhood in order to really be able to value and love himself and in turn be able to love someone else the right way. Now we are on episode 8, and what's crazy is we just left episode 7 with James speaking about his mother, and episode 8 opens up with James and Ryan having a meeting with said mother. And let me know what you think below, but the vibe that I got from this interaction, I feel like James's mother has no idea about the trauma that he says that she put him through. And she should know, you get what I'm saying? But I wouldn't be surprised if the first time that she actually hears it coming from James is when she's watching it on television. But we can definitely see that James's mom likes Ryan, but she also resents Ryan because she feels that the reason why James didn't go away for school and really follow his dreams and all of his other aspirations is because Ryan didn't want him to go away for school. She wanted him close. And it definitely comes through in the conversation. She feels like Ryan held her son back. And mom can't relate to that because she said, look, I was a trucker and I was going where the money was, okay? If the money was in this state, I was moving to that state and getting the work done. But why in her confessional did she say that James better hurry up and marry Ryan because the next swinging dick might come along and scoop her up? Child, when she said that, I screamed. In the next scene, we see Raya and Trey, and they're having a conversation where I think that they actually make a little bit of compromise and kind of get a level of understanding on what each other wants. Raya reveals to Trey that she doesn't feel that she is good enough for him because Trey has all of these things going on and Raya is still trying to figure everything out. Trey feels like the things that he wants to do for Raya are actually him helping her skip a couple of steps, right? Skip a couple of steps in life and be at a better position. But Raya sees it as Trey rushing her and depriving her of having those experiences. And even though I still think that they are incompatible and do not need to be together, it was nice to see them have this conversation and kind of get an understanding of each other's intentions and how the other is interpreting those intentions. I will say this. If Raya was to give Trey everything he wanted, marry him, move to the suburbs with him, have a bunch of kids for him, I'm telling you now, Raya is going to resent him and it's not going to end well. And on top of that, since the sex ain't good, she's probably going to cheat on him. And then she's probably going to blame him and say, I didn't want any of this. You forced me to have this, right? And that is not the way that you want to start any relationship. And that's why I am saying those two do not need to be together. Trey, find you a woman who is ready for all of the things that you want to do. And Raya, live out your 20s and enjoy it to your full capacity, okay? Although relationships do take a bit of compromise, these two are just way too far apart in what they want right now. Next, we see Antonio and Roxanne meet up with Roxanne's parents, and I think that Roxanne's dad is fake as hell, okay? I was liking him when Roxanne was meeting him with Alex, but now that she's back with Antonio, he's all smiles, and he's like, oh yeah, the things that you guys are going through, those are things that can be worked out even through the marriage. Like what? What? That is not the energy that you were giving before, sir. Roxanne is saying that she loves Antonio and she loves his family. And I'm like, girl, no, you don't. You just like having Antonio around because he gives you that good broke D and because he's just another thing that you can be the boss of. He's just another person that you can control. And Antonio isn't making any moves to change because it seems like he actually likes being taken care of by you. And y'all keep getting back together. So it seems like that dynamic is working for the both of you. I don't know. We'll see. So it is the last night before decision time. We see Ryan and James having a conversation, and Ryan is letting James know that even if they don't get engaged, she does not want to move in with him because she knows that if she moves in with him, he's going to procrastinate getting married even more. James says, I'm not a procrastinator. What are you talking about? And Ryan is like, what are you talking about? You've procrastinated this entire relationship. That's why we're on this show now. Hello. And we see later that night that Ryan tells James that she's pretty much come to terms that she'll be okay without James. And I said, yes, Ryan, that's the energy that we want to see. Next, we see that Raya and Trey are still having this conversation about a long distance relationship. Raya wants to live in the city. She doesn't want a long distance relationship. And Trey is also not budging about not wanting to live in the city and wanting to have a home with a family. I cannot stress enough how much I do not want these two to end up together. So now it's decision day. Hey. We see Raya in her confessional and she says that she is following her head and not her heart. That can mean a couple things. And Trey says that this experience has shown him that there is a lot that they do not know about each other. Yes, Trey, I agree. So the two show up, they're both matching, they're dressed in red. And I'm like, Raya, you must have like a million red dresses. I feel like every single scene that I've seen her in, she was in a red dress. But they leave us on a cliffhanger. However, they do show us a little clip that looks like James breaks up with Ryan. And I hope that that is exactly what happened because we do not want them together. James, you don't deserve Ryan, okay? James, you don't. So that's the recap of The Ultimatum Season 2, episodes 1 to 8. Like I said, I will be watching episodes 9 and 10 right after I'm finished editing and uploading this video. And that upload should be up tomorrow. So make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe so that you can see my recap for the finale and the reunion. Let's chat about everything that happened from episodes 1 to 8 below, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye!
Roxy says we're gonna talk